everybody, and we are so excited to be bringing you the various songwriters that will be part of the Nashville Meets Bethlehem show. Today, we have from Slingshot Dakota, Carly Commando. Carly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Slingy D will be in the house, or at least
Mhm.
half of it,
We'll both be
and
there, but Tom will be silent for once.
he going to wear the bodyguard outfit again?
Probably not. He was really he so for anyone listening not understanding what we're talking about, there was a music industry event at the Ice House, and my bandmate slash husband drummer Tom came and he thought it'd be really funny to dress as like an industry, like a scouting executive. Um and
It was great.
he cosplayed pretty hard, but like most people didn't know who he was. So I think people thought he was a legitimate like greasy dude
Well,
trying to
that
scout out the talent. So it
since
was even better than I thought it was going to be.
yes. See, since I did know who he was, I was really enjoying it, and then assumed other people didn't, and I was
Yep.
watching that, and it was a
It's,
true like a
it's
bit.
really beautiful.
It was. It really was quite good, especially with his shirt being unbuttoned down to like here. It was
We
dynamite.
were we were on our way to the venue, and he stopped. Like, we live in Salisbury Township, and so we stopped by Emmaus Avenue Market. And I'm like, "What are we stopping for?" And he's like, "Oh, I need a prop." And I'm like, "Okay." And he came back in with like 2 cigars. I'm like, "What
Cigars,
is
yes.
wrong with you?" He said, "I need to complete the look."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There we go. Well,
we just
hopefully he has
really,
something he comes up with for the show
yeah,
on November 17th at
yeah,
the
we'll
Arts Quest
see.
building.
One more
But let's
reason to show up,
There you
everybody.
go. You never know what Carly's arm candy is going to do.
That's right.
But other things that people won't know what you're going to do is the music you're going to play. So, for
Yes.
those of you who don't know Slingshot Dakota, we've featured you on our show before, whether it was Music Fest recaps or previews, and also on kind of like Lehigh Valley music to know type stuff. We've always
Mhm.
wanted to make sure people hear your music, but in case they don't. It's a duo that sounds like 9 people on stage. um, Carly plays keyboards, Tom plays drums, and it is a fantastic, cacophony of sound and beauty in ways. But on this night, it's going to be just you and the keys, which is
That's
going to be
right.
such a nice treat for people. So for people who
Yeah.
do know, they're going to want to check this out as well.
Yeah, it's a nice way to get your face melted in a
That's
more
right.
gentle fashion than
That
you're
is
used
right. A
to.
gentle face melting. But yes, absolutely. But yeah, why don't you share a little bit about kind of like the background of your sound, and then if you do want to share any kind of like teasers for what they might expect.
Sure. So, I mean, the origin of Slingshot Dakota was that basically back in the day, this is even before Tom was in the band, it was me and my 2 friends that I grew up with.
Hmm.
They had started a band, and they kind of asked me to play keyboard as like bass. So it was a
Hmm.
guitar player, drummer, and then me. So I was kind of doing like
So you're more the rhythm
auxiliary.
section.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I was
interesting.
playing, I was basically in charge of like rounding out the sound with bass, and then just kind of adding any kind of auxiliary piano stuff that sounded good.
Hmm.
And so, it was just a fun band that we had done. All of us were in Long Island at the time, and we had all been kind of like in our local punk and hardcore scene. So this was a slight departure from that kind of more indie rock for
Hmm.
us. And yeah, it was just super chill, like we didn't have too much pressure in it. We just would meet and have band practice, and it was really fun. And then over time, we started taking it more seriously. And I remember they sat me down and they're like, "Oh, we want to have Slingshot be a career band," which was never an option for me. I just like was like, "Oh, this is for fun. I'm gonna work some kind of job, and that will be my
Right.
life." And so yeah, that moment in time pretty much completely changed the trajectory of my life, where I finally was like, "Oh, I guess I don't know why I never considered being in a band as like a possible career choice for myself." Um so yeah, Slingshot Dakota just kept on doing our thing, and then our drummer was in another band that had kind of been on hiatus, and they started touring again. So um he essentially kind of had to leave the band because he was never available. And then that's when Tom joined the band. Even though
Hmm.
we lived in 2 different states, we knew each other from just like playing in each other's local like punk scenes.
Sure.
So Tom joined the band, and then eventually, as time went on with that, our guitar player decided that he wanted to go back to teaching because he was a
Mhm.
teacher, and he was just like, I'm kind of missing this part of my life, and I don't know if I want to dedicate as much time to the band as you guys are interested in doing. So it was a
So it went from
very windy road for us. Yeah, it's
so
if
they were the
you
ones that wanted to make a career, got you
yes,
to do it, and then they were
yes.
like, "Ah, just psych,
Yes.
kidding."
And to be honest, I was very comfortable because I was living in Brooklyn. I was working as a server in a restaurant that was like super supportive of my career. So I had shifts when I wasn't on tour and I had
Mhm.
coverage when I wanted to go on tour. So all of those decisions that got made over time,
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily they didn't like affect me too much because I was always working,
Sure.
and music to me was always something I wanted to be my like main thing, but it never was at that point in time.
Mhm.
So it didn't like stress me out too much. It was just more like a bummer where I was like, oh man, I really like we made this decision together and now this lineup has completely changed.
Mhm.
um so fast forward to about 2006, it's just me and Tom practicing. Our guitar player has left and we're like, oh, what do we do?
Right.
Because like our sound is completely different. And I wasn't really writing lyrics as much. I was mostly kind of singing along with our guitar player, who was the
Sure.
main songwriter, lyric writer, everything. And so I basically took over all of the duties of songwriting, of singing. And that's when the whole process of what's my tone going to be began.
Mhm.
And still to this day, I have a picture on my computer. It's like on my external hard drive that my friend
Sure.
Ryan O'Donnell made for me. Cause I was like, what do I do? How do I make this band loud? Like Tom has no volume control. How am I going to combat this?
Right.
What do I do? And so, my friend Ryan basically drew up with like MS Paint this image where it was like a keyboard with two amps, like an AB switch pedal and a distortion pedal. And essentially based on this like really um terrible pixelated image, it's kind of like what made my setup temporarily because I
Sure.
didn't know anything. I wasn't really a gearhead. I was just doing this band. I loved it. And I was really strong in terms of my setup with that like with that band
Sure.
lineup. So
Mhm.
having to change all that stuff, it really made me have to reconsider everything that I was doing up to that
Absolutely.
point. So, yeah, I started experimenting with amps. I started experimenting with getting a subwoofer,
Mhm.
different distortion pedals, because when you're running a digital signal through a distortion pedal, it's not going to have the same effect as like a stringed instrument.
Mhm.
So, even to this day, it's still like a process that I'm always trying
Sure.
out new gear,
Mhm.
returning stuff because it doesn't sound as good as I thought it would.
Right.
Um,
This sounds like
it's
a real, like, caterpillar into butterfly type metamorphosis that
it
it went
really
through.
is when people ask us, how long have you been playing, like, with me and Tom? We've Slingshot Dakota has been around since, like, 2003, 4,
Mhm.
but my version with Tom has been around since 2006, but I
Mhm.
also feel like if you're really asking us where we found ourselves, I would say, like, 2016,
Yeah, I
because I feel
gotcha.
like that's really where we found our sound, that's where we found our strength.
Sure.
Um, we started really being aware of our tones, and,
Mhm.
like, even I make a joke about Tom's volume, but, I mean, he's starting to like even now, in
Yeah.
2023, just like really trying to pay more attention to his dynamics
Sure, sure, sure.
and, just find ways to have better sound in every room. That's like
And
more
he even
consistent.
sung a song at Music Fest this
And
year.
he even sang a song at Music Fest. And we can thank Jolie for that
That
because
is
Jolie
true.
had requested that.
That's
So
so
I
cool.
have to honor anything
Yes.
Jolie wants.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
completely understand that. And also, we should mention too, again, if people aren't aware, like you've been talked about in like Rolling Stone magazine and
Yep.
have had a
Yeah.
lot of accolades here all over the place. So like, this
Yes.
is a sound that people want to pay attention to. Um,
Yeah.
and then kind of just downshifting us a little bit into perhaps this different sound that'll happen on the 17th.
Hmm.
The other thing people should be aware of is two things. One, you're also writing music, piano-based music
Hmm.
for documentaries and films. In fact,
Correct.
weren't you even up for an Oscar, or the film you were a part of was up for an
I have an
Oscar?
I have an Emmy award.
Emmy Award. That's what.
Yeah. I wrote a song that the Simpsons used, and,
That's
that episode won an Emmy award it was actually the day before my birthday, And yeah,
How
I think
cool.
it was 2006 is the year
Wow.
that I received that. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's an interesting story because I had been talking with them about this episode, and they we had come to terms on, the contract and everything, and
Sure.
then the writer's strike happened.
Ugh.
So I totally forgot about the episode. I totally forgot. Didn't think anything of it. I hadn't heard from them, so I just
Mhm.
figured, oh, you know,
It got
they
shelved or whatever,
yeah, it
yeah.
got shelved, and,
Mhm.
I kinda wasn't really paying attention. I think at that point in time, I didn't have, like, cable TV anyway, so I really wouldn't have known. And then, yeah, the day before my birthday, everyone started texting me, "Oh my gosh, you're on The Simpsons, you're on The Simpsons." And I said, "No, I think they parodied it because that was, like," I talked to them so long ago. I haven't
Right.
seen, like, an updated contract. I don't, because I just, like, I was so green, right? Like, I didn't
Sure.
really understand music licensing that well. And for some reason, I thought that we would have to revisit it because it had been
Mhm.
such a long time since I had talked with them. And so, long story short, is uh, I had to have a lawyer involved just to, like, make sure everything was good, because I was like, I never got paid for this. I don't like
That was quite the validation right
it
there.
was
You got a
wild because
lawyer.
I really thought that they had just parodied it, because
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, I haven't heard from them in so long,
Right.
so this would make sense. They're the Simpsons, they can do whatever they want." And then,
Sure.
I finally was able to get a clip of it, and I was like, "Oh, no, that's my recording," because it has, like,
Mhm.
there's, like, a little glitch in the recording of that file, because I recorded it on, like, an iMic back in the day, and so
That's
I heard the
amazing.
glitch, I'm like, "Oh, no, this is legitimately my
Yep.
my
That's my
song," and
glitch.
then yeah, it's my glitch, and eventually everything worked out fine, and there
Yeah.
was no, like, bad intention from them. It just, like, legit slipped through the cracks.
Sure, sure,
But
sure.
but I wasn't sure, so I did have a lawyer just to, like, help me through it, because I was like,
Mhm.
"I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if
Right.
this is, like, technically copyright infringement," because I agreed for them to have this
Choose it,
song
yeah.
used,
Mhm.
but I also haven't heard from them in forever. So it was great, and then the cherry on top was that it won an
And won
Emmy
an
Award,
Emmy.
so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, congrats on that. I think the one
Thank
I was
you.
thinking of was, Lily Topples the World.
Oh, yeah.
You had basically
Yeah,
scored that, and that
yes.
one, I think, is that it might have been what I was thinking,
It's gotten
or
a lot of
nominated.
accolades. It's
Yeah.
gotten a lot of accolades and, nominations as well. I'm not sure, like, what it's won. It's definitely won a bunch of, film festivals,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is cool, and then it was
But
on
yeah,
Discovery Plus and Max and stuff, so
that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very
So
cool.
you're doing all that, and then the other thing you do, piano based, is you take modern music and turn it into wedding processionals
Mhm.
as another piece of what you do. So people
Yep.
should check out the processional professional.
That's
Or
right. Good job.
yeah, and and it's not only fun, but if you are getting married, it could be something you'd be interested in. So
Yep.
there's that. But any teasers for what might happen on the 17th?
I mean, I just think you are going to enjoy being able to hear the lyrics in a different way, because
Yeah,
when me and Tom are performing, there's so much energy and passion involved. Um, and it's very authentic and very genuine. But I also feel like when you get to hear a band in a different way, especially in a stripped down way, it kind of gives you permission to really hear,
totally.
the lyrics in a new way as well. And it
Yes,
also gives me the ability to kind of sing them in a different way versus kind of like competing with our own volume, which, that's like our sound, but it's also really
totally.
fun just to kind of be able to, articulate things a little bit differently.
Well, we are
So
so honored to have you there, and
thanks.
can't
I
wait
can't wait.
to hear it. I'm gonna be fanboying out myself. Like I can't wait to sit there and listen to you and all the other super talented singer songwriters. Kind of regale everybody with songs. So, Carly,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us today, and can't wait to hear you perform on November 17th.
Thank you so much for having me. Can't wait to see everybody.
All right, see you then.
See ya.